Well, good morning, fun lovers. This is George McClellan coming to you from FYN TV, FetchYourNews.com in LJ, Georgia. This is North Georgia's only live online internet talk show. Things are coming up. You can reach me. I'm going to cover as many subjects as I can today of pertinent interest to us, and we can discuss them if you like. If you can call me at 706-889-5825. That's my cell phone right here, or at Fetch Your News 706-889-9700. And we can talk. Now, if you call me on this little phone, it's going to be you and me, but it's not worked into the system. The other number is the better system. In any event, weather up here in LJ is cool. It's no rain, so it's uneventful. Yesterday it was cool and the sun was shining. Absolutely gorgeous day. You know what? It's not snowing either, and it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. So winter's here. Yesterday was the first day of winter, and so there we are. We're into our fourth season of the year, and it'll carry on into next year. So let me do some highlights here that are interesting. There was a headline that said, NBC headline, and here's how it read. And I'm talking about our boneheaded president. Obama warned Putin of armed conflict over hacking. Now that's the draw. That was the headline that drew me to the article. When I got to the article, it was NBC said, and this is the reality, Obama told Putin election hacking could result in armed conflict. Now there's a whole change. This is how the wordsmiths in the media try to draw you into a story. And then, but this article even goes on, Obama reportedly told Putin in October, mind you, in October, that directly interfering with the U.S. election could result in armed conflict. According to NBC News, Obama opted to use the red phone to contact Moscow directly, a communication system that dates back to the Cold War. And it's not an actual telephone, but instead sends a secure email message between the two countries. NBC connects Russia's alleged hacking with the release of stolen emails from the Democrats through WikiLeaks. That hasn't been proven. As a matter of fact, Julian Assange has already said he did it, and the Russians didn't. The organization responsible for making much of the material public, and of course, Putin denied that he was behind the theft, and that should be it. But now, an October warning, it comes up in yesterday's news as a threat today. They're just running out of things to say, but I thought I had to share that with you. Now, we want to get to Trump's transition and the cabinet picks that he's making. Has anybody heard of Peter Navarro? Peter Navarro, a far left-wing Democrat, former mayor of San Diego, California. Obama wants to put him in the trade delegation somewhere. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't understand how that's going to work out, or what President-elect Trump's reason is. But he's floated a lot of names in front of us, and then they just disappear after he's neutralized them. However, we do have this problem. It has 6th District Representative Tom Price, and that's Georgia's 6th District I'm talking about. He's a medical doctor. He's been in Congress for a number of years. He has a replacement plan for Obamacare that Paul Ryan has basically signed on. Has been selected by Trump, as we know, to become Secretary of Health and Human Services. He's also presently the chairman of the House Budget Committee. But anyway, the intent of putting him in that chair is to repeal and replace Obamacare. We know where Trump is going with that one. Price, of course, has accepted the nomination. Now, where I'm going with this is local politics. A host of Georgia wannabes are considering standing for Price's abandoned position, and here's the problem for some of them. For example, Consider that a hospital lobbyist or a lobbyist for a hospital gives money to a state legislator running for U.S. Congress. And that candidate turns around and votes on a hospital bill in the Georgia state legislature. Is it an ethical problem? Probably. That will doubtless appear when state lawmakers gather in Atlanta for the annual legislative session. It is a potential sign of a corrupt politician. That's where corruption comes from. Always follow the money. Now, hospitals, these little hospitals in North Georgia, or in rural Georgia, are disappearing. They're going away. Larger entities, large hospitals are moving in some cases, not all, but they're creating at least emergency rooms and staffing them with regional hospital nearby. We have such a thing here. Jasper has an excellent Mountainside Hospital, excellent little hospital, part of a larger group, and I think they're going to run our emergency room here. Brian has more details on that. Brian Pritchard, BKP, but that's not where I'm going. But I'm going to the ethics thing. State Senator Josh McCoon said, if you're going to run for Congress, then run for Congress. If you're going to be a state legislator, then be a state legislator. And what he's saying is, if you're going to run for Congress, then quit the legislator. Quit your job, get out of it altogether. The exact date of the election depends on when Tom Price is approved by Congress for his new job, and at that time he will resign his congressional seat. And at that time, Governor Deal would then be required to call for a special election to replace Tom Price. A friend of mine, Justin Tomasak, a Republican activist involved in multiple winning congressional campaigns, said if he was advising a state lawmaker running for the seat, he would tell them to resign. One, to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest, and two, if you're running for Congress, that's a full-time job. And when the legislative session is in, that's a full-time job. I think it would be hard to effectively juggle both of those responsibilities at the same time. Oh, whoa. Conflicts, what to do? These guys still got to feed their families and pay their mortgages. And so anyway, but still, we've got to end corruption in this country and in our governments. Resigning from Georgia legislature does not necessarily solve the problem. If a congressional candidate does that, their state seat would be empty for at least part of that session. And that means the voters wouldn't be represented, the local voters would not be represented in the state house. Oh, whoa. We have a lot of problems there, don't we? I wanted to go through, repeat for you an article that was written last week by Maureen Dowd. I think I discussed it, but it's worth reviewing again. And here it is: the election, November the 8th. And I say last week, it was last month. The election was a complete repudiation of Barack Obama, his fantasy world of political correctness, the politicization of the Justice Department, the IRS, and an out-of-control EPA, his neutering of the military, his non-support for the police, and his fixation on things like transgender bathrooms. Since he became president, his party has lost 63 House seats, 10 Senate seats, and 14 governorships. What a wonderful president he has been. Here's more. This is not Maureen Dowd. This is accumulation. Very interesting. It was in the Wall Street Journal. Something very positive about Obama's 2 terms in office, his 8 years, who has been obsessed with his legacy, and he's even obsessed with that legacy now. You know what he's doing? His legacy, well, I don't know if this fits in. He's supporting the United Nations effort to boycott Israel and condemn Israel officially in the United Nations. BKP talked about it earlier. Trump tweeted today, that's not going to happen. He killed that right. Just with that tweet, no one is going to make the state of Israel the bad guys, especially United Nations people now practically halfway filled with Muslims from Muslim states. That's not going to happen. But anyway, Trump leaves, here's his legacy. He leaves a Republican president, a Republican vice president, Republican control of the Senate, the House, Republican control of 31 state houses, a majority of Republican governors, 36 out of 50, a Republican control, and we lost one, of course, North Carolina governor got defeated, but so it'll be 35 out of 50. Republican control of a majority of county governments, a Republican control of a majority of city governments, and that is what Hope and Change brought to us. He did for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. Thank you, Barack Obama. We love you for that. The country had signaled strongly in the last two elections, the two midterms, that the 2012 and 2014, and 2012 was not a midterm, it was a presidential election year, that the people signaled that we were not happy. The Dems' answer was to give them more of the same from a person they did not like or trust, and that was Hillary Clinton. Preaching, pandering with a message of inclusion. God, I hate that word. Write it on your wall and then strike a line through it. Write it in your notebook and then strike a line through it. Inclusion is liberal speak for agreeing with all of their policies, their wicked policies. Here's a short primer for the young protesters. If your preferred candidate loses, there is no need for mass hysteria, canceled midterms, safe spaces, crying rooms, or group primal screams. You might understand this better if you had not received participation trophies, undeserved grades to protect your feelings, or even if you had a proper understanding of civics. The Democrats are now crying that Hillary had more popular votes that can be her participating trophy. She had more popular votes. Well, you know, and now there's an attempt. The Democrats, meet the Democrats who want to abolish the Electoral College. That Maureen Dowd article, I repeated some of it, the purpose being to come to this article. And meet the Dems who want to abolish the Electoral College. A growing number of Democrats are interested in changing or completely eliminating the Electoral College. I can tell you, it's not going to happen. It is simply not going to happen. It is so cunningly designed by our forefathers, the genius of putting that in our Constitution. These people aren't going to do it, but you got to at least know who the enemy is. And here we go. Of course, Senator Barbara Boxer, she's the one that introduced the bill. Dianne Feinstein seconded the bill. Kirsten Gillibrand from New York, and the first two are Californians. Bill Nelson, a Democrat from Florida. Now, these are all Democrats, mind you. There's not a Republican name on this list. Dick Durbin from Illinois, he tweeted his support. Bernie Sanders, who would have thought Bernie Sanders would like to end the electoral vote, especially after he got screwed by the Democrats themselves. Those are all the senators. Here's the House members. Brendan Boyle from Pennsylvania. Julia Brownlee, California. David Cicilline, Rhode Island. Yvette Clarke from New York. Steve Cohen, Tennessee. There's a Southerner in here whose mindset is locked into totalitarianism. John Conyers from Michigan, he's always in the news as a dipstick. Jim Cooper, also of Tennessee. Keith Ellison. Now, Keith Ellison, of course, from Minnesota, is up to be the Democrats. This is so funny. The chairman of the Democrat National Committee. Can you believe that? These people have lost everything, and they want to put a Muslim as their leader. John Green of Texas, John Garamendi of California, Jared Huffman of California, Steve Israel of New York, Ted Lieu, L-I-E-U, of California, James McGovern of Massachusetts, Mark Pocan of Wisconsin, Charlie Rangel, there's another familiar name, New York, I think he's retiring, Jan Sokolowski of Illinois, Jose Serrano of New York, Brad Sherman of California, Adam Smith of Washington, and Washington State, Jackie Spear of California, Eric Swalwell of California, Juan Vargas of California, Philemon Vela of Texas, and that's about it. So if you got those names and you recognize any of them, start your movement to get rid of them. You don't need people like that. America just doesn't need that. Well, I had. Anyway, I have passed my point where I'm supposed to turn it over to our sponsors. So let's enjoy some, have a laugh at the guy in the cask again. We'll see you on the other side.
Looking for in a vehicle, start your search at Schottenkirk Ford Jasper. We've simplified the process so you can move on to what matters, your family.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Ellijay.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on-site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Pizza Hut makes great pizza, but they can't tell you what a gift it is. I can. They took a grilled cheese and combined it with stuffed crust pizza. To think, I almost wasn't here to try it.
How did you?
It's not important, Jan. What's important is that I watched the sunrise this morning. Then I got to stand in a room filled with this pizza. And later I'll stare at the ocean. Or maybe I'll learn Russian. Or listen to jazz. Or try my hand at needlework. Or open a door for a beautiful woman. Or read a human interest story or make dessert wine. Or ride a wild horse. Or experiment with watercolors. Eat every slice like it's your last. Especially you, Doug. Especially Doug, right? You care about Doug. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpieces the Hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
If you've been waiting for the biggest sale of the season, this is it. 20% off MSRP, plus huge bonus discounts at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now get a Silverado Crew LT from just $29,900 or a loaded new Malibu LT from just $19,900. Every 2016 Chevy up to 20% off MSRP, plus Days holiday bonus discounts. Find new roads at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead, Days Chevrolet.
Merry Christmas.
Pizza Hut makes the best pizza in the entire universe, but they won't tell you that. I've been marooned on this planet for a while now. You are an impressive race. Your children know excellent hiding places. Your oceans aren't filled with lava. And you figured out how to combine a grilled cheese sandwich with a Pizza Hut pizza. Surely interstellar travel will soon follow. And then I can finally get back home. Round. Round like home. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpizzas the Hut.
Well, welcome back. This is George McClellan at FetcherNews.com, North Georgia's only live internet talk show. I can be reached at 706-889-9700 if you wish to comment, or by email george@FetcherNews.com. I started off the evening or the afternoon by asking you, do you know Peter Navarro, and why is it important you should know Peter Navarro? Peter Navarro is a far left-winger Democrat. He was also once mayor of San Diego, and he has been chosen by Donald Trump to be on the Economic Committee. Let me read you some of this about Navarro so that you don't think I'm just passing over it as a Trumper who is not at least concerned about what's happening to some of the appointments. Now, we've got to remember, Trump is not an establishment Republican. So he does not swing in that direction. He wants to do what he thinks is best for America and to get this economy rolling again and get people jobs. And he bases his choices on things that has been referred to him or things that he's read. And Navarro wrote a book that piqued Trump's interest. Let's get there. The unveiling of President-elect Trump's White House Trade Office is the latest reminder to Republican free traders that there is a new sheriff in town. Most reports focus on the fact that Peter Navarro, the head of the National Trade Council now, is a fierce China critic, and that's true. He is also a departure from free trade orthodoxy that has, at least in theory, dominated the Republican Party since Ronald Reagan's time. Trump credits Navarro for helping to inform his own views about the need to get tough with international trade partners and reduce trade deficits. Quoting Donald Trump, I read one of Peter's books on America's trade problems years ago and was impressed by the clarity of his arguments and thoroughness of his research. Trump said in a statement announcing the appointment Wednesday, he will fulfill an essential role in my administration as a trade advisor. Navarro's belief that cutting trade deficits will increase economic growth conflicts conflicts, mind you, with the bipartisan consensus in Washington. Well, bipartisanship in any event has brought America to its knees, because Republicans have always agreed with what the Democrats want anyway. Well, now there is a new sheriff in town driving the wagon, and Republicans have better get them, as Herman Cain likes to say, them's are going to get on the wagon, them that ain't get out of the way. I love that. It's a great one. In Washington, many economic conservatives would balk at half of Navarro's portfolio within the administration, and that's the portfolio as Director of Trade in Industrial Policy. Industrial policy is not normally a phrase associated with a market-friendly administration. George Will complained last September that Trump was repudiating limited government, saying his trade policy is liberalism's industrial policy repackaged for faux, and that means fake conservatives, comfortable with presidents dictating what Americans can import and purchase at what price, and where U.S. corporations can operate. What we'll hear from Walmart on that subject pretty soon, and the other large stores. Many of Trump's recent cabinet picks have reassured conservatives, as has the thawing of his relations with House Speaker Paul Ryan, and the majority role Vice President Mike Pence is posed to play in the new administration. I think Pence will be as active in this administration as Cheney was to George Bush. The cabinet is not always the center of power inside an administration. We've seen that for the last 8 years. Specialist tasks are delegated to officials who operate with a lower profile or work in a White House staff position that does not require Senate confirmation. Head of the EPA is a perfect example. There was already confusion about the role of Trump's U.S. trade rep amid reports that Wilbur Ross, his nominee for Secretary of Commerce, will oversee trade policy. Normally, the trade representative takes the lead in negotiations. Now, Ross and Navarro occupy key places at the table. Now, that's very interesting. I think that is very interesting. Now, we have to comment. We cannot let this slide by without commenting on the changes going on in Europe. The Berlin Christmas jihadist attack, Trump's election, populist is changing the view of world politics, and we've got to discuss it. I'm going to lead into it with a comment that I read today, which is very important. And it was made by the Prime Minister of Hungary. Now, I've been to Hungary many times. I've spent a lot of time in Hungary. And I love the country. It's a beautiful country. The language is absolutely not understandable to anybody not born to it. But the world is quickly changing for the better, but there will be much pain before victory is achieved. And what is that victory? Well, it started with Trump. Next will be elections in Germany, the Netherlands, and France. Brexit already set the pace for the collapse of the EU. Now, that's my comment. That's my view of this whole thing and where it's going. And the Berlin truck attack on all those, killing those probably 14 people and injuring others, that finally has set the ball rolling. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban praised the victories of the populist five-star movement in Italy and the election of Donald Trump in the United States, claiming these developments are just the beginning of, and he says, the rebellion. And I call it a revolution. Orban is referring to the taking back of Western countries from leftist globalists, the big bankers, the big people who want the whole world to be in one administrative boat, theirs, who have flooded Europe with Muslim migrants and who are responsible for an unprecedented wave of crime throughout Europe, including widespread sex assaults and sex assaults. In July, Orban stated that migrants were poison and are not needed, and he's closed immigration completely off from Muslim countries. That vast vast horde that came sweeping up through the Balkans and into southern Europe are now housed in Germany mostly and trying to get to England. And they're not going into Hungary, they're not going into Poland. Oban said the migration and the foreign policy plans of U.S. Republican Donald Trump were vital for Hungary. The U.S. Democrats supported migration as well as what he described as democracy export, while Hungary, like Trump, opposed both, making it clear where Hungary's interests lie. The Democrats' foreign policy is bad for Europe and deadly for Hungary. The migration and foreign policy advocated by the Republican candidate is good for Europe and vital for Hungary. So this guy already sees the future, and he knows where it's going. Next year will be elections in Germany, the Netherlands, and France. A lot of things can happen. Mr. Orban said that there were two rebellions going on. One was a revolt of the working and middle class, which led to Brexit in England, and the victory of Donald Trump, and the other is a kind of a national rebellion. Nationalism is starting to reassert itself. Winston Churchill once famously said, after defeating Nazi Germany, he says, the Germans, they're either at your throat or at your feet. I don't think we'll ever have to worry about an armed Germany again because there's too many damn Muslims in it. And that socialism, that country just can't pull it off anymore. The United States of Europe advocates, by being stealthy, encroachments on the sovereignty of individual nations using the issue of asylum. That's what we've got to let these poor people in. All of this is surrounded by political correctness, containment, intellectual rebellion against stigma. The stigma of being poor, the stigma of being religious, the stigma of wearing a burqa, the stigma of this, the stigma of that. The rebellion started in 2016, will be even more enhanced in the future. Therefore, I say that 2017 will be a year of rebellion. We will have to see. I will be putting out my own essay today or tomorrow on this very subject to those who subscribe, and I will read it on the air next week when I return to this microphone. The Prime Minister went on to say, if we believe in Hungary, the Hungarian people, one inside the other, then we are facing a bright future. Asking that children should be taught not to seek the easy way, but to go their own way, even if it seems difficult, then the country can be great again. America, what is your message? Let's make Hungary great again. Gotta love this guy. There's another Donald Trump sitting over there. He knows what the problem is. The problem is communist government. And they come in many disguises, progressives, liberals, and for us, Democrats. And if you're a Democrat and don't know it, you're ignorant. Not stupid, you're ignorant. You're unschooled, unlettered, and you're not an American. You may be a U.S. citizen, but if you can't stand up and say that you absolutely believe in the Constitution and support the Constitution, then don't tell me you're an American. I will accept you're a U.S. citizen, but not an American. And that goes for politicians of the Democrat Party. Well, anyway, it's time for me to have a little drink of water and time for us to listen to these important ads, and we'll see you on the other side for the wrap-up.
Looking for in a vehicle? Start your search at Schottenkirk Ford Jasper. We've simplified the process so you can move on to what matters, your family.
El Rey and Ellijay.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey in Ellijay.
Hello, my name is Chad Watkins. I'm the manager at Larry's Body Shop. We are a family-owned and operated business and have been serving the North Georgia area since 1978. We are located at 1216 Progress Road in Ellijay, Georgia. Our shop specializes in collision repair and we work with all major insurance companies. Larry's Body Shop is ICAR Gold, the highest role of training recognized by the collision repair industry. It is estimated that only 10% of collision shops meet these standards. Our shop consists of state-of-the-art equipment such as laser measurement system, down-drive spray booth, spot and MIG welding equipment. All of our paints are mixed on site so that we can guarantee your paint to match every time. I know that having an accident can be a stressful event. We take pride in making sure our customers are satisfied with the repair of their vehicles. Our waiting area is clean and comfortable with free Wi-Fi and refreshing beverages. So if you're in an accident, stop by and see us at Larry's Body Shop.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Pizza Hut makes great pizza, but they can't tell you what a gift it is. I can. They took a grilled cheese and combined it with stuffed crust pizza. To think, I almost wasn't here to try it.
How did you?
It's not important, Jen. What's important is that I watched the sunrise this morning. Then I got to stand in a room filled with this pizza. And later I'll stare at the ocean. Or maybe I'll learn Russian. Or listen to jazz. Or try my hand at needlework. Or open a door for a beautiful woman. Or read a human interest story or make dessert wine. Or ride a wild horse. Or experiment with watercolors. Eat every slice like it's your last. Especially you, Doug. Especially Doug, right? You care about Doug. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpieces the Hut.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Ellijay. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
Better days ahead.
If you've been waiting for the biggest sale of the season, this is it. 20% off MSRP, plus huge bonus discounts at Days Chevrolet in Jasper. Now get a Silverado Crew LT from just $29,900 or a loaded new Malibu LT from just $19,900. Every 2016 Chevy up to 20% off MSRP, plus Days holiday bonus discounts. Find new roads at Days Chevrolet in Jasper.
Better days ahead. Days Chevrolet.
Merry Christmas.
Pizza Hut makes the best pizza in the entire universe, but they won't tell you that. I've been marooned on this planet for a while now. You are an impressive race. Your children know excellent hiding places. Your oceans aren't filled with lava. And you figured out how to combine a grilled cheese sandwich with a Pizza Hut pizza. Surely interstellar travel will soon follow. And then I can finally get back home. Round. Round like home. The grilled cheese stuffed crust pizza. Proof that no one outpizzas the Hut.
Well, welcome back, friends and neighbors. George McClellan at FetcherNews.com, North Georgia's only live internet TV talk show. I ended by telling you the what's happening in Europe. Eastern Europe, Hungary, has slammed its door in Islamic immigration. I can tell you there's two things that happened. Trump's election, as the Hungarian Prime Minister has recognized, and Angela Merkel's open door policy for this flood of migrants coming to that country has done two things. One, sealed Angela Merkel's fate. She will not win re-election. It's over. And we will watch the collapse. We will see the collapse of the EU. People are getting tired of having unelected politicians in Brussels telling them how to live. Populism is making a comeback. Thank you, Donald Trump. Thank you, Donald Trump. That Christmas market, that Christmas market truck assault by a jihadist is probably the most significant event that has happened in the last month of 2016. Very, very significant. I cannot overemphasize how important that is because it has shaped people's feelings. So anyway, I'm going to go to my final thoughts. I wrote this one the other day. I entitled it, "Wounded Beasts Are Dangerous." Unlike most wounded beasts, instead of retreating into the dark recesses of its own sick imagination to lick its wounds, the deranged left is striking out blindly at its tormentors, those who snatched away its dream of possession, its absolute right to power. Lurking in the hidden depths of its own delusions, abetted by a similarly affected mainstream media feeding their angst, the progressives still harbored a faint hope of thwarting the Trump mandate through suborning the electoral process. Threats and intimidation notwithstanding, it failed miserably. Even Hillary lost a couple of more votes as a result of that, electoral votes. Still, Donald Trump must be on his guard. The book of tricks the progressives carry with them to fight, they carry with them to every fight, includes deception, the extended hand of friendship, a particular weakness of which John McCain and Lindsey Graham are susceptible, dirty tricks, outright lies, fake news, and media propaganda, all to inform, deluded, misinform, and confuse the uninformed public about what's really happening, and all the time they hold in their hand a knife to stick in your back. Right now, though, ultra-left media is wielding its propaganda club of fake news. They would have us all believe that all Americans who are so outraged that the Russians hacked the election and gave it to Trump, that therefore the electors, in their righteous fury, were not obligated to vote for Donald Trump. They were, what were these guys writing? A movie script? Smoking pot? What? We are in a decades-long struggle with the dark forces of totalitarianism. Many Americans are just now beginning to realize that. No longer schooled in Western culture and civilization, the humanities, or civics, the training necessary to establish firmly in the minds of young Americans, impressionable school children, the real gift that is America. It has been replaced with socialist dogma, one that says you're too dumb to know how to live and we'll do it for you, and everybody gets a trophy. Pay close attention to the next several months, the first months of Trump's administration. The Democrats, they will never, ever concede, but they will attempt to delegitimize Trump's presidency using any stupid idea they can come up with to convince Americans he's unfit for the high office he holds and should therefore be impeached. And these from people who have never earned an honest dollar or let alone several billion dollars. They will try to associate him negatively with Russia's President Vladimir Putin. They will attempt to link Trump's choices for cabinet positions and lower executive offices anything nefarious they can think of, like the false claims of Russian hacking. They'll invent something. They have a deep bag of tricks from which they can draw, many used successfully in the past to demean, humiliate, and destroy their opponent of choice at the time. And right now their opponent of choice, Donald Trump. 2 years, 2018, midterm elections will find the hobbled and injured progressives in a full court press to affect state elections in order to replace Republican lawmakers with their own communist toadies. Tea Party and grassroots efforts by independent Republicans must stamp that out immediately. It rears its ugly head. Look for the signs. They're always visible. They're always there. And don't be fooled by their propaganda. On November the 8th, America was gifted with a lucky break. Trump did it. I can even go so far as to suggest that Trump is God's instrument. As a Judeo-Christian nation, we simply cannot squander that gift by inattention to its protection and preservation. It is imperative that we remain alert because the beast is not dead. It lies coiled in its den, waiting the moment we forget or the moment we drop our guard or fail to re-strengthen the foundations of American constitutionalism. Our first enemy is corruption. It cannot be passed over or ignored, especially by our leaders. We put them there because they asked, and by God, they had better perform as we want, or else. Remember, the path to our country's salvation is freedom. Freedom is the goal. The Constitution is the way. Now go involve yourself with the Tea Party. Get involved with the Republican Party if you think you must, but bring it around. The old party is gone, and the new ones are starting to form out here in these rural counties, and it will sweep. It will sweep into the big cities one of these days, like Atlanta, because our next big contest will be with Islam, and that's one that we simply cannot afford to ignore or lose, because they're coming at us with their knives out, with their trucks, with their guns. They're coming at us. Now then, we got a few minutes left. I wanted to talk about, at least focus on Obama's last gasp efforts to ruin America. Obama sits still while the UN moves towards a boycott of Israel. I opened with that. I talked about that. U.S. companies are in for a shock as Obama takes aim once again at Israel in his final month of his presidency. In the coming days, he's expected to direct his team at the United Nations to vote for U.S. funding of BDS, the Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions Campaign, aimed at financially ruining Israel and smearing companies with which it does business. And that he means American companies and European countries. Oh, let's all quit and go away. Remember the Obama's deal with Iran. He paid several $billion in cash, in foreign currencies, because the law prohibits him from using American cash. $1 billion in cash allegedly to release 3 or 4 captives. Immediately he did that, European companies, and I can't blame them for it, as well as Boeing Aircraft, started doing deals with Iran to build airplanes and other things. That is ethically corrupt. That is corruption, unbelievable corruption. So he wants to do that with the United Nations. It was apartheid in South Africa many years ago was attacked, and companies doing business there started withdrawing their business, closing their shops down, and the government fell and is now taken over by black communists who don't know how to run a government anyway, and everything is chaos. It's nice to go down there, but you take your life in your hand. The vote concerning the UN budget that is currently being negotiated and scheduled to be finalized this very week, as a matter of fact, One of the line items provides funding for the implementation, and here's the clue words, Human Rights Council resolution adopted last March. They want to fund the Human Rights Council declared Israel to be a terrorist state that should not exist. And we have to combat that whole damned idea. And Trump will. His tweet today put an end to Obama's idea of supporting this. He cannot do it. We got two presidents running right now. The resolution calls for the creation of a blacklist of companies around the world doing any business directly or indirectly connected to Israeli settlements. In effect, it launches a UN-sponsored movement. Since the General Assembly holds the purse strings for the Human Rights Council operations, the time has come to allocate the money to pay for it. And that's, if Obama would just tweet that in light of this operation, America will reconsider its options of staying in the United Nations. That's an earthquake. That's an earthquake happening right there. Let's hope that he has some idea of doing that. With Obama's UN diplomats sitting on their hands while the funding scheme is being hotly debated, American taxpayers, us, you and me, we can expect to find ourselves funding the BDS in the very near future. With American businesses caught in the crosshairs, let me tell you, that ain't going to happen. That's what Obama wants, but that's not going to happen. Trump is already laying the plans for trade and deficit spending, how to get rid of it, how to make it good for America, not good for everybody else. It's got to be good for America. Israeli settlements consist of Jews living peacefully, productive lives on disputed territory, whose ownership by existing agreement is to be determined through negotiations. Well, negotiations keep failing. And so I've got a minute left. Let me wrap this up. Through negotiations, this Jewish presence on Arab-claimed territory is offensive to a deeply anti-Semitic enemy that seeks to guarantee that land swap in an eventual deal to create a Palestine state will be Jew-free. Boy, that's so un-American, it's unbelievable. You can change those words around. The Jewish presence on Jewish-claimed territory, they're all Semites. The Arabs are Semites. The Jews are Semites. They're just different tribes of people. What has got the the Arabs irked is that the Jews who have come to Israel are not Semites, mostly Europeans, survivors of the Holocaust. That could be a point, but I don't think so. The United Nations created Israel. The United Nations has to support Israel. They can't change it just because there's some leaders at the round table who are Muslim. Muslim is the enemy. It's the enemy of democracy. And anyway, I've run out of time. I've used up my allotted time and a minute or two more perhaps. And I want to thank you. I wish you all a very, very Merry Christmas. I will be back Monday, unless I'm dead or dying, and we'll carry on the discussion. I want to particularly start focusing on the threats of Islam to Europe and to us. So we'll see you on the other side. Have a good weekend. Merry Christmas to you all.